going to require you to study. Everybody say study. Study. Studying the Word. We are no longer on cruise control in our salvation. All right? We're taking it out of cruise control. And I tell you, even when we take long road trips, I don't like using cruise control because my mind tends to float off of the road, because having all of your faculties engaged in driving keeps your mind on the road. Now, I'm not saying there's something wrong with cruise control. I have used it every now and again. But I've discovered that I personally do best when the foot is on the pedal, okay? Because it's not some sort of afterthought that, oh, the car in front of me is slowing down and the car is driving itself. So we have to come out of cruise control in our walk with God, come out of cruise control in our salvation, come out of cruise control in the way that we live our life and handle our Christianity, and study. Studying requires what? Planning. If you don't plan to study, then you have planned on failing. It's really just that easy. Oh man, I just looked up and a week went by. I say that when I haven't planned and scheduled and set an alarm on the things that I want to achieve. If it's working out, if it's vocal exercises, if it's reading my Bible, if it's whatever. If it doesn't have an alarm to interrupt my train of thought, 5 days, 7 days, 21 days, 32 days. Oh yeah, I've been meaning to. Oh yeah, I've been meaning to. Oh yeah, I've been meaning to. Not really. I've just been saying I should. But I have not planned on achieving anything in that area. So get those notes. This is your salvation. I got my notes. I did your notes. But this is your salvation. This is going to be you answering questions to your family members about Jesus Christ, whether the name Apostleship pops up or not. Are you going to be ready? When your coworker is going through and you need to give an answer and a response, are you going to be ready? When your family member is challenging you on your devotion to God and why it's so deep, are you going to be ready when nobody else is around? If you want to be ready, you will study. If you're going to leave it in cruise control, because see, the world is changing. Things are scary. Other gods have written their names into laws and bills in our nation. It is not the same as it was 10 years ago. Certainly not 8, because we know what happened 8 years ago. It's not the same. That whole evangelical, God is love and everything is going to be okay and we're just waiting for the rapture, that's over. It's over. It's over. O-V-A. Over. We are in a new time in the world, just like technology. From the time I've been on the planet, less than 40 years, we have run through so many levels of technology, it is not even funny. You say it because, okay, I watched this clip, I don't know if anybody else saw it on Facebook, with the little kids. They were putting these old-time things in front of them. These kids were probably 8. Typewriter. Ooh, what is that? I think it's a recording device. Typewriter. No idea what a typewriter was. A record. Not a record player, just a record. Oh, one kid. Oh, I know what that is. He was almost right. Yeah, because, you play on these huge little things that turn the disc and music comes out of it. The one kid was sure that typewriter was a communication device, though. He said, I'm telling you, he said, oh, I know what this is. My grandpa has one. You type in what you want to say, and it communicates, it speaks. I mean, these kids could not understand how a piece of equipment could not talk. Right. And the one kid who was the most clued in was the one who spent the most time with his grandparents. Because he kept saying, oh, my grandfather told me about that. Oh, my granddad. I said, wow, how you need all the generations doing their job. And everyone else was like, I don't know. What is that? Because I think one was saying, what is that? Does it have any buttons? Because see, okay? So times they have changed. They've changed in everything, and that includes our salvation. We want to know why Christians are behind. We don't study to catch up. We don't study our God. We say and we believe that our God is not trapped in this time, right? We say he's eternal, which means he's not locked down. We say he's already lived it. We say we're living to catch up to what he's already done. But what are we doing? Finding out what that is. Well, what did you already do? Well, what's coming down the pike? I don't know. Study. We have hit an era where we need to study to know our God. And speaking of studying, today we're going to wrap up what we started last week on about Apostolic Christians. This is going to be part 2. Our series goal is to make Apostolic Christians. Starting with us. It's easy to always talk about the people we know outside of here and who really needs to get saved and who needs to get this. But can we get it first? Teaching objective is to identify the distinct traits of the Apostolic Christian. We identified that in the previous weeks, the same way as knowing who you are genetically with your family. Hey, you really need to know, because if you live in a small town, you need to know who you shouldn't yoke up with, because that's your cousin. Or your half-sibling that you didn't know about. You need to know what the family looks like inside and out. Right? You need to know. And so we need to know what maketh an apostolic Christian. Our key terms for today are holy, pantheon, and king. I love the direction that praise and worship went today, because we are going to talk about briefly the kingship mentality of the apostolic Christian she has in Unit 1, because we're closing out Unit 1 today. John 13:20, Acts 26:18, Ephesians 4:11, 1 Corinthians 12:28 and 29, and today we're going to jump into 1 Samuel 5 when we talk about the pantheon issue and how God doesn't play nice with other gods. Man. So open up your books, page 32. So we're going to be on the page with John 13:20 in it. Truly, truly, I say to you, whoever receives the one I send receives me, and whoever receives me receives the one who sent me. That's John 13:20. Christians are supposed to precede apostles because they have received Jesus Christ. If there's a country that we have an alliance with, they are to always receive our ambassador. To not do that can be considered an act of war. At which point, depending on who's in power, depends on what response you get. With God, he looks at both of those things with his apostles. When he sends his apostle, we are not supposed to reject them. Now, I am talking about the tried and true ones, the ones who have been vetted, not just anyone running around with the title.
Come on.
We are talking about discretion here and intelligence. That's part of the problem we have today. A lot of people want to be taken on their title without being checked out. I don't let a doctor touch me until I find out who you are. Amen. What are people saying about you? I know you want to see my file, but I need to see your record and reputation. It's okay to ask that question. We do it everywhere else but in ministry. Okay. And I'm not talking about, well, it's not, it has to bear witness with my spirit. Okay. Because, we've got reports from the doctor that we don't agree with. It doesn't mean they're wrong because you don't agree with it. So our agreement is not a basis for acceptance. And we have made our agreement with what somebody is saying as our foundation for accepting them or not. That's not the standard. You have to measure it against what God said. Jesus Christ always would say, I say what the Father says. I do what the Father does. I'm doing nothing separate from my Father. So you're looking for who's credible, you line it up with Scripture, but you need to know Scripture in order to do that. Which is why you have to study. I didn't even play in that. You see how that happened? Okay. In this chapter here, this page in the middle, right by that picture, she says, in addition to Christians who can win souls, share their testimony, and settle into churches, the Lord needs Christians who really connect with His sovereignty as well as His salvation. Now, we hit on this before. He needs Christians that do not want to change Him or envision changing His world when they get there. Now, let's pause for just a moment. We have set up Christianity to so be about us. It is like our contemporary American notion of marriage. When you talk to somebody who's been fantasizing about being married for a long time, you already know what kind of spouse they're going to be by what they say about what they're looking for. If the whole list is about them and what they want, they're in for a rude awakening. Well, I'm going to have a man who, and he better, and blah, 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 we better live in a house that, and on and on. You better not take me to a McDonald's, and you better not take me to a burger, and you better... Oh, okay. We're rolling it and rolling it and rolling it down. You're already a terrible wife because you're a selfish person. Period. Period. I want a woman. She got to have these dimensions. She has to look like this and wear these kind of shoes, and her hair has to look. And I don't want no weave, and I don't want no fake nails, and I don't want. Oh, okay. Down the list goes. And on both sides of these lists, nobody cares about the person. They care about themselves and what makes them happy in their imagination. This is all still up here. You think that's what's going to make you happy superficially because you're still talking about somebody you don't care about. Love is a dangerous thing. All of a sudden, just like I would have never moved to Oklahoma. And all the people not from here said, Amen. Hey, let's say you grew up in Oklahoma, and you say, I will never live in Los Angeles. That's okay, because LA's great. We get it. So it's really about moving somewhere completely opposite of where you came from, is my point. I really don't want to offend anybody. But when you're from the coast, people ask you, I don't, because, hey, you should be part of it.
That's right.
When I said I was moving to Oklahoma, do you know what people ask me?
Where the black people are.
Are there black people?
That's right.
Man, my surprise, I said, wow, we are in abundance in Oklahoma. Are the streets paved? This is in 1999. People were asking, is there indoor plumbing in all of Tulsa in Oklahoma? Is there indoor plumbing in Oklahoma?
Okay, 99.
1999. I'm assuming they worked that out in Oklahoma like they have everywhere else. We better look out for the Klan because it's Oklahoma. So they ride around on the street.
Okay.
In the sheets. Okay, so
that might still be true.
And yeah, but not the way they thought it. They're not riding down 71st Street, okay? I'm all loud about it. All right? And so the whole misconception about the move. I moved out here because my way, one, didn't work. I tried it my way, it didn't work. And it was an expensive, rebellious decision. Ended up transferring out here. My mother's shaking, yes it was. Ended up transferring out here and staying because of my love for God.
That's right.
When somebody's love touches your heart, it opens you up in a way that you cannot predict. Which is why you have to choose wisely who you give your heart to. People do stupid, crazy things for love. end up killing people, robbing people, stealing things in the name of love. But they also turn their life around. Change. Finish what they start. Get on a whole new pathway in life and hitting a destiny that they never would have made had they not loved the right person. So your love for God should change you.
All right.
Should. Just like your love for someone else should change you. My love for my friends over the years has changed me. It has made me, I hope and believe, a better person than if I would have been off by myself, living life on my own terms, doing things my way. We want to be changed by God, but we don't want to surrender to love Him. See, we want Him to love us, but we're not quite sure we want to love Him.
That's right.
Because that means you might be consumed by His love. You might be embarrassed. You do things, you embarrass yourself when you love somebody. Okay? I don't care what anybody says. This is my man. This is my woman. Everybody's like, yay. Yeah, exactly. Yay for you. And when you meet somebody who's on fire for God, you know all they talk about? God. The Lord. How much He set them free. How He delivered them. How whatever. It doesn't even matter what it is. All roads somewhere lead back to Jesus Christ. Amen. Apostolic saints. But you have to open up your heart and trust that God's sovereignty, which we're going to hit on, is not your enemy. It's your best friend. Before you decide, sometimes you wake up and you're like, oh, I'm in trouble because this guy got you good. And then you can tell when somebody loves the wrong person because they tear down their life and justify it. I don't need this anyway. Well, I didn't need that anyway. Well, I don't have to finish school. Well, I don't really need all of these friends. Well, I can start afresh and anew. And I'm not talking about living a bad life. I'm talking about living a good life. A decent life. Whatever that life is. People hook up with, that's why when you are radical for Christ, people think you're a little crazy. I mean, do you have to be in church? So is that a cult that they require you to be in church? Are you crazy? Nobody said I was in a cult when I was getting high every day or getting drunk every day. Nobody accused you of being under the control of somebody wicked and crazy. But because it's Jesus Christ, all of a sudden we have to defend why we want to be somewhere every day. When you hit me up after work, hey, we going out to the club tonight. You want to come? Nobody thinks that's cultish. That's a cult. I can't do that because we went out twice already this month. Right. Why are you a stick in the mud? All of a sudden there's something wrong with you in the world if you don't want to hang out. But when it comes to Christ, there's something wrong with you if all you want to do is be with the saints. Do you see how we flip that? And we walk around feeling like we have to justify our commitment to God, our devotion to Jesus Christ. She said in this chapter, apostolic saints don't care. Why are you always in church? Why aren't you in church? Let's line up our lives together and see who's a hot mess and who isn't. See, we don't want to say anything like that to people. Well, because church makes my life work. Why wouldn't I want to go to church? I get prophecy. Hey, who doesn't want to know the future? Sister Erica, can you just pray for me when you go to church on Sunday? Can you just throw my name out there? Because, throw it up to God while you were worshiping. See, because that's how you know saints really want what you have. They really want what you have. They really want what we have. They want it. So we refuse to downgrade Jesus Christ and all of His power. Apostolic saints refuse to apologize for Jesus. I will not apologize for God. I will not apologize for Jesus Christ being Jesus Christ. I will not apologize that you feel that. We were watching a clip of Juanita in Pina. And she said, let me tell you something. If a sinner rolls up in your church telling you they loved your message and they didn't feel compelled to change, that's not a compliment. You are living steeped in sin. You should feel convicted. They should say, "Ooh, I don't know, I need to think about coming back here because see, I have to get my life right first." Well, get your life right here. Come on, let us help you get it together. But just understand, you have to get it together. Just like your drinking buddies are only going to tolerate you hanging around not drinking so long. So, we had a drinking party. No, we didn't call you because you don't drink. So, that's awkward after a while. Why? Because birds of a feather. Okay, deep calleth unto deep. Spirit unto spirit. Together. But we can't apologize for God being God and Jesus Christ being Jesus Christ, the same yesterday, today, and forever. I'm not going to apologize for that any more than I apologize for my family. Well, you know, don't talk about my family. I'll talk about my family. You don't know my family. And even if you do, you're not my family. And saints will talk about the Lord. No. You can't talk about Jesus because you don't know him. And if you knew him, you wouldn't say that. Let's talk about God and his holiness and how apostolic saints don't try to change God's holiness. What is holy? I have a password down here, this little key with a password, because these key words unlock the locked up places in your understanding. Proverbs talks about with all thy getting, get understanding. The state of being dedicated and devoted to God by being separated from sin. That's the Prophet's Dictionary. She will punch you square between the eyes on these definitions. This is the internet definitions. Dedicated or consecrated to God or a religious purpose, sacred, absent of sin. The Hebrew word for holy is, I hope I get this right, kadesh, and it means apartness, set apartness, separateness, sacredness. Apostolic saints, genuine ones, understand this is part of the requirement of being a genuine Christian. Being separated from sin. Intentionally separating yourself. Just like when you go on to pursue, let's say, someone joins a club or whatever. The first thing they do is what? Separate you from everyone else. If someone has ever pledged or done any of that insanity in their life, you have to wear certain t-shirts. You have to go to certain meetings. You have to do all these things that pull you out of the normal flow of life. Separate you from the crowd, from the norm. If you can't handle separation, you are not called to something sacred. Period. There are some people who have, I just can't know, but I have to have that show. But I have to have that drink. But I have to have that movie. But I have to have that man, that woman that is actually not mine. I'm not talking about the one that's yours. It's the one that's not. So this is God right here. He is separated from sin. What is holiness? Being separated from sin. Period. We want to make it about clothes. And yes, they are a sign. But they are not the substance. Your conduct is a sign of what's really in there. How you dress lets us know what's really going on. To an extent. Okay? Because we know the clergy be having struggles too. Clergy has a problem. Many ways. We've seen it in the denominations. We've seen it with the priesthood. We've seen it with whatever. But by and large, the God that you host on the inside will show himself on the outside. Period. When you're struggling in certain areas, it will eventually come out. And if you're around somebody astute like we are, hallelujah, because see, you struggling in something right here, I can tell by this. What? That's true. Wow. So his holiness, being separate from sin, period. It changes the whole do's and don'ts thing, doesn't it?
Yes.
So what should you do? Well, let's see. What should you do? Do's and don'ts. Is it sin? Then it's a don't. If it's not, then it's a do. Period. Not sin by our contemporary definition. No. Sin by God's definition. Just, okay, let's bring it down because, again, we make everything subject, right? So I'm going to use another natural example of marriage. How about this? Now the terminology is, well, we have an open marriage.
That's right.
Okay, so you agreed to commit adultery within your marriage and it's just okay with everybody. That's what that is. God calls it adultery. Period. I don't care what label we put on it. Open. Do you know how crazy we have gotten as a society? The point of getting married is to close the openness in your activities. That's the point. Right? Oh, she might as well just keep dating and fornicating. Dating and fornicating, you're just dating and fornicating because it's open. Just date and fornicate. Just call it what it is. You would just run off and run in and together and not in whatever. Open marriage. Open marriage? Open marriage? Open marriage. Oh my God. We have relabeled so much garbage so we don't say what we're actually doing.
That's right.
We just keep relabeling, and it is the most vile mess that people do with this pretty label. We're just exploring ourselves. Okay, we're exploring ourselves. STDs at an all-time high. From adults to unborn children. You have children being born with STDs. Now, come on here. But hey, it's your freedom. It's your right. Saints are going to tell it like it is. There's a reason God condemned certain activities. Because with all of our technology, all of our medicines, all of our antibiotics, we still can't stop these same diseases that were killing people back then. Why? Because God has marked them to not have a cure. It's not here. That's why we can't find it. Because it's not here. This will always be the judgment for promiscuous sex, or else we're going to do it more. We're still doing it. They. We are not. Humanity, okay? Let me fix it. They're still doing it. Humanity is still, with all of them, that you can catch one time, one encounter, with protection, without protection, still. That's how you know it's a devil. Straight up. But apostolic saints are like, oh, but I see you. Haha. You're not going to get me. Well, you're not sleeping around. You don't worry about an STD. But if you can't get you.
Well, church.
You don't worry about getting pregnant. There's so many things you just don't worry about at all. Holiness is the way to go, people. No stress. My God, at least less stress. You don't worry about a pickled liver. You don't worry about burning a hole in your nose from snorting drugs. There are so many things that I don't have to worry about because I don't partake. Holiness has a lot of benefits. It's the best benefits package I've ever heard of. The best benefits package. If the worst thing I have to worry about in a year is catching a cold,
Come on.
I'm going to be all right.
Yes, you do. Amen.
No, I'm not worried about hitting a tree because I'm drunk and I'm driving. No. Isn't that wonderful?
Yes. Come on.
I'm not worried about passing on. People don't even know how so many children now are born with so many issues because of all that mess that they've taken into their bodies before they conceived or while they were pregnant and didn't know.
There you go.
12 for the last 8. So let's talk about how happy you should be right now. Holiness is a God idea. Because God views sin as hazardous material. Okay? Isn't that fine? Hazardous. He's like, whoa, if you wouldn't pick up a vat of acid and drink it, then that's how you should view sin. It will burn you up. Eat your soul straight through to the core and leave nothing but a pile of mess. Because sin doesn't stop until it kills you. Slow death, fast death, that's its job. God views holiness as sanitized, free of hazardous material. Sanitized for your protection. That's holiness. Okay? Does it make the point?
Yes.
Come on, we have some people who are absolute germaphobes. Absolute. I will not name names in this room. Absolute. That's how you need to look at sin. Like a germ that's going to tear your immune system down. Compromise the integrity of your life. There are things we would not do. Oh no, I'm not going to drink after that. Drink that couple is half empty. Who drank after that? Who was that? I'm sorry, who drank that first? I'm not going to. Who? Well, I mean, I did, yeah, but I heard you sneeze and cough and wipe your nose on the back of your hand. No. There are things in the natural people refuse to do and live and do the vilest things because it's a devil at the core of it, not your sins. All right. So apostolic saints also understand God's holiness. Now, I'm tying all this together, is a part of his sovereignty.
Yes.
All right? Sovereign. Preeminent authority. When you are sovereign, you ask no one for anything. It's just the way it is. When you are a sovereign. Many Christians see God's sovereignty as a roadblock to their liberty and free will, but not the apostolic Christian.
That's right.
See that nice big fat boulder in the middle of the road? That's how a lot of us view God's sovereignty.
That's good.
Something that we have to say, okay, I was on my way, living my life, and up jumps God's sovereignty. Now, how am I going to get around that? Well, I'm going to go by way of relationships. Well, I'm going to try and bypass by hiding out in this. How am I? And this is how many Christians view the sovereignty of God as the biggest obstacle they could ever face in life is God's will. How many of us, if you do not have to show your hands to me right now,
Okay.
but how many of us can honestly say in our hearts, you hit major roadblocks in your walk with God when his sovereignty was bucking up against your will?
Yes.
I think the most challenging thing to accept is that all the dreams you had for your life that you thought were from God were going to happen your way. Or that the dreams that you thought you had for your life from God were not actually from God. Usually, he will give us a notion, an idea, a prophecy, or a dream, and we do what humans do. We fill in the gaps ourselves, and we plug it into the way we would fill it in if we were God. Well, let me see. If this is what God called me to do, then this is the way that most people get it done. So that's what's the call for my life, and that's the path I'm going to be on. Now, you need to have direction, okay? You must have direction in your life. But when the sovereignty of God, like Joseph, God gave him the dream. He was going to be great. Your brother's going to bow. Everybody's going to bow down. Oh my, but the journey to that throne was not what anybody had in store. Sovereignty can be a major roadblock for us, but not the apostolic saint. Because the apostolic saint is going to say, thy will be done, as we cry. Addressing God as sovereign, God needs, this is from the book, God needs Christians which we read, that do not want to change him or envision changing his world when they get there. Back to the Mary thing. It's like people fantasize on how they're going to change that person to be the perfect person they always wanted.
Right.
What? Well, no wonder that blew up 3 times. That's just, you envision having that best friend that's going to be everything you want, and then reality strikes. And you're out. Refuses to downgrade Jesus Christ's works and will never blaspheme his holiness. That's what the Apostolic Christian does not do. Blaspheme his holiness. Man, God is just so strict. No, he's not. He's smart. It's like your kid telling you, why do I have to have a curfew? Why do I have a curfew? And you know what? 100,000 years later, you know what the response is? Nothing good happens after midnight anyway. Get in the house. When they didn't have street lights, when they didn't have streets. Nothing good was happening after 10 p.m. They know God is utterly disinterested in mortals that seek to make him fit in with other gods. Fit in. He does not fit in with other gods. The Almighty is not a pantheon deity. So what is a pantheon, you ask? I'm glad you asked. What is pantheon, Prophet Ashley? Because I already have an answer. Isn't that amazing? This is a pantheon of Rome. That thing is huge. I've seen that building. It's huge. I was there. Dedicated to all gods as a gesture embracing religious syncretism in the multicultural Rome. Pantheon is Greek and literally means a temple of all gods, or of common to all gods, the particular set of all gods of any polytheistic religion, mythology, or tradition. So what is this? Syncretism. The combining of different, often, I love this, contradictory beliefs. So the pantheon was there to gather all of these gods that typically don't agree, because gods typically don't, while blending practices. So this is why they built pantheons, okay? To combine the different, often contradictory beliefs while blending practices of various schools of thought, which is why getting off into vain philosophy can be dangerous. It involves the merger in analogies of several originally discrete traditions, especially in the theology and mythology of religion, thus asserting an underlying unity and allowing for an inclusive approach to other faiths. This is the foundation of inclusionism. Inclusionism is a pantheon of gods, all agreeing that all roads lead to the same destination.
Right.
In Rome, because they conquered so many nations, people bring their gods. Every man walks in the name of his own God. So you bring your God with you. Well, they built these huge edifices and buildings so that each god could have its representation. And as they conquered the land, it was also a symbology of conquering the god. Which is why we won't be able to read it today, but in 1 Samuel 5, when the Philistines, let's see here, when the Philistines took the ark and put it in the pantheon with Dagon, who is the god of grain and fertility, because grain is symbolic of fertility. Planting a seed, reaping harvest, that's all the connection to fertility. So he's the grain god. If you do your research on Dagon, that's what it's all about. The preeminent god in Rome at that time. So they put him in there, and if you have read the account, the Lord kicks up. And each day where they come in, a piece of Dagon has fallen down. Do you know what it takes to knock down those stone statues? The power of God. So he didn't play. And he didn't play because he is the king. He is the king over all. He is the Lord over all. And that starts with other gods. Before God rules all flesh, he rules all spirits. He rules all of those gods. He said, I don't care if you put me here, and tumors broke out, and cancers broke out, and all kinds of things broke out. He said, get him out. If you are living your Christianity right, the sinner's going to cast you out. You have to go so we can get into our mess. If your unsaved friends are completely fine being their vilest selves in front of you, you should feel comfortable being your most sanctified self in front of them. Now, we have some rules here. I have with my unsaved friends. There will be no cursing. I don't watch cussing on TV. I don't listen to cussing in music. I will not fellowship with the cussing saints and ain'ts. It's just, I can't do it. Because I feel like I'm being slapped in the face. And I have so removed myself from that world because I was once, had a whole bunch of friends and all that kind of stuff. And I hardly heard it. Hardly heard it. But once I removed myself from that, I hear words now. I'm like, oh, I forgot people talk like that. And can string it together, boy. Hallelujah. Praise the Lord and amen. We can string together a praise for our God. Well, they string together a praise for their devil.
Yes, they do. Yeah.
Like a champ. You're like, so you spend time in that, just like I spend time with my God.
All right.
Yeah, I can praise him and get real creative with my praise because I know it well. They get real creative with their vile behavior because they know those devils well. The deeper and demonic someone is, the viler they are. More vile? Is viler a word? They're really vile. And our closing topic is going to be the apostolic Christian is a kingship thinker. Sometimes I'm like, is that a word? I don't know. All right. How does a king think? Because this is where we get stuck. The king is a sovereign head of state in a monarchy. The most basic definition of king is a male monarch. Okay. Queen is a female monarch. A monarch may exercise the highest authority and power in the state, or others may wield that power on behalf of the monarch. Thus, we have apostles who, those specifically appointed, can wield the power of God when he is not present. We see that. Okay, let's talk about our Christ. We see that with her for sure. At our events, she lay hands and you're like, whoa, that is power moving. Not just a revelation, but authority. Stopping storms. Now that's power. Starting storms. That's also power. The Prophet's Dictionary, which I know you guys didn't bring today, but I did. It has a very extensive, so you can write on the side of your notes to look up the term king in the Prophet's Dictionary. It is very extensive. Term number 736. If you have the green dictionary. 736 now. 736. A piece of that says, the reason a certain line, now this is the line of kings, was chosen was because of the spirit of the ruler originally ordained to continue to pass on the nature and caliber of the initiating rule from generation to generation until the end of time or the demise of the kingdom. It is in this spirit that Revelation's messenger, the book of Revelation, identified those born again in Christ as kings and priests to the Lord. The king's attire, crown, scepter, robe, throne, etc. all serve the purpose of crystallizing for the subjects the glory of the God's presence and eminence upon the king. Kingship is tied to godhood. Period. We it's right now in our world on the planet, we say queen, we think Elizabeth. And because so many things are democratic in our mindset, we don't even know about what that lineage actually means to them. Doesn't mean anything to us. It's cool. 90 years old, 92, whatever. But outside of that, but this is what kingship means. The crown, a circlet, is to depict the ring of glory that covers the head of the empowering deity. The scepter represents a symbol of the governing beings of creation upon which the world and its systems hang. All of these things are named in our Bible about our God. Oh, but we have to study to know that's what he's talking about. The robe is reflective of the glory covering of the deity, with its colors corresponding to the powers and elements of creation over which he or she governs. The throne, self-explanatory, replicates the seat upon which the deity dispenses his or her judgments and metes out, M-E-T-E-S, metes out punishments and rewards. The throne room symbolizes where the deity holds court. See, we talk about throne room and just worship, right? Take me into the throne. God, I want your throne. You better come correct. When you start talking about getting close to God, so the throne room symbolizes where the deity holds court and administrates the powers, resources, and wealth of the spiritual kingdom behind the one the earthly monarch rules. Other emblems of kingship, the ring for the marriage-like covenant between the regent and his or her God, the breastplate for the covering that protects the vital organs in combat and conquest, the torso area being seen as the habitation of the lives of those served and ruled. All this is important to the prophet's comprehension of the ceremonial symbolism presented in the prophetic dreams, visions, writings, and parables from the Lord. They are to communicate the eternal genre he wants to divulge to the prophet and thereby release to the world that is governed and managed by God's invisible protocratic force. That is like a third of the definition. Just the last third. So you want to read the first 2/3 to get the full definition. When you study. So here's our Unit 1 review. This is a list of our traits that we went through in your handout that if you didn't get, I know you'll get today, so you can study to prepare yourself. The unique traits of the Apostolic Christian, how they see God in duty to him. Biblical and scriptural. Voracious appetite for God's wisdom. We taught on that. Ready reverence for God's truth, even enigmatic ones. Loyal to Almighty, beyond children saved by grace, because that's where we stop. Sympathize with Jesus' warfare. We won't tell you that Satan is unreal or equal to God. God is absolutely in charge, intelligent and bold, detects threats, confronts and refutes error, withstands fierce opposition, kingdom-minded, defends and protects the Lord and his body, connects with his sovereignty and salvation, don't want to change the Lord, which we addressed today, won't blaspheme his holiness, loves his truth and prizes his wisdom, trusted by the Lord, and we do not dread learning God. That's just a few. That's just a few. Apostolic saints, the first thing they want to do is learn the God they serve. Because again, going back to love, when you do love, we don't even teach God's love right. Because we teach God's love according to how much we can get away with and still be loved by God. We don't teach God's love according to how his love will consume us and we will do whatever he has. Crying, sideways, halfway running. How about you quit? I know I did, but then God got me. Then God got me. That's how you know you're talking to an apostolic saying, but then God got me. Well, what do you mean? He got me. That's how you can say, he got me. That's when you know you can work with some good material there. That concludes Unit 1. You're up next week, Apostleship, right?
Yes.
Kicking off with Unit 2. And then we will go from there. So I'm excited. Praise God. Make sure you get those notes so you can study. You have the schedule for the week and all the information so you can stay connected with what every leader in this church is doing, because somebody's doing something that can benefit your life. Amen? Amen. We are dismissed. If you want prayer, come down front for prophetic ministry.